when you're playing this game, you realize that it's really geared towards kids. Like a lot of it is kind of corny and but with like good life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, I would love my kids to play this game. So parts of it, I'm just like, I was kind of like rolling my eyes because I was like I'm 30. I don't need this, but at the same time, it's like in a charming way. So it was kind of sweet. Like Grandpa's trying to teach his grandkids life
Yeah.
lessons through this story.
I think that it's like actually a not just a kid story. Like I was pretty into the story. So it starts off. I'll kind of give you a brief synopsis. So in the real world, Lily and Chris are fighting. They're bickering
Mm,
back and forth. So Grandpa decides to tell them a story about the Kingdom of Blossomdale, whose their residents named Chris and Lily in that world, who are also fighting. So very quickly, you could tell that Grandpa's trying to teach these kids like a lesson about being brother and sister and stuff like that. And the story starts in a very sweet way. So, and it's actually like very reminiscent of the Minish Cap because you start off and there's this big festival, and the
yeah.
festival is to celebrate 100 years since the Minotaur King was banished, and there's a big shindig every year for it, and this is the 100th festival, and there's a duel to determine like the champion, and Lily is like an awesome warrior, and she's fighting, and she makes it into the finals of the duel where she fights Chris, her brother, and Chris, that little brat, cheats to win, and Lily
Mhm.
is so upset that she wishes that the Minotaur King would snatch him away. And next thing you know, that's exactly what happens. The Minotaur King comes and takes Chris away and makes him the titular Minotaur Prince.
Mhm.
So I actually kind of really dug the Minotaur King actually because he was like dividing the two of them, and he keeps on telling Chris like, no one cares about you except for me. Your sister's not coming. She doesn't want you. So like, eventually Chris is like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm gonna be the Minotaur Prince. Like, this is cool. And like, obviously he's a kid and Lily's a kid or whatever, so they're a little bit more impressionable. But so Lily realizes her mistake and it goes on a journey to save him. And you can you know exactly where the story's going. You don't need to have played this to know exactly where the story's going. But I think that it's still very cute, very charming, and very just kind of put a smile on my face.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's very cute and has like has a lot of outside influences from Lily and Chris's relationship on the outside, like in the real quote unquote real world to the story. And it's pretty cute. I really like it.
Yeah. So that's another high point, and I think so. Actually, it's kind of funny because this list that I'm looking at has all like my high points, and then it goes right to my low points of this game.
Ooh.
But another high point that I think this game does really well is pacing. You're always
Yeah.
moving. You're never going to be lost. There's never any like issues where you're just like grinded to a halt. Like there's no Triforce quest. There's no repairing the Dominion Rod. There's no shenanigans in this game. It's just like you go, you do the dungeon, you go to the next area, you do whatever you need to do, you do the dungeon, and you're always moving and you're always going. I think that there was one point where I kind of hit a little bit of a snag, and it was my own fault because I had like 2,000 coins, and I was just like, I should spend this. This is ridiculous. There's like a million heart pieces and stuff that I can buy at these shops that I haven't bought yet. So I went and bought it all. I had like 40 coins left, and then they were like, "Hey, you need to buy a bow for 200 coins," and I was like,
Oh yeah.
so I had to grind a
Yeah.
little bit to find some money. But even like that wasn't too bad, and that was clearly my own fault.